Imagine waking up tomorrow to the news that a currency note you've been holding for years, a note many considered almost worthless on the global stage, has suddenly become one of the most valuable assets in your possession. This isn't a hypothetical scenario from a distant future. The ground is shifting right now in Baghdad, and the tremors are being felt across the entire world of international finance. The specific catalyst for this seismic activity is the seemingly mundane return of the 50 dinar note into the Iraqi financial system, an event that seasoned currency analysts and insiders are interpreting as the most significant, the most deliberate, and the most undeniable signal yet that the long-awaited revaluation of the Iraqi dinar is not just a possibility but an imminent reality. For decades, the Iraqi dinar has been the subject of intense speculation, a roller coaster of hope and disappointment for investors who believed in the potential of a nation sitting atop one of the world's largest oil reserves to reclaim its former economic stature. The journey has been fraught with political instability, conflict, and bureaucratic inertia, leading many skeptics to dismiss the entire concept of a revaluation as a fantasy. What we are witnessing today is fundamentally different. This is not a rumor whispered in online forums or a speculative article from an unverified source. These are concrete policy discussions taking place at the highest levels of the Iraqi government and the Central Bank of Iraq, discussions that are intensifying with a newfound sense of urgency and purpose. The reintroduction of the lower denomination 50 dinar note is a critical piece of this puzzle, a move that makes absolutely no logical sense unless you are preparing your national currency for a dramatic increase in its value. Think about it logically. Why would a country go through the immense trouble and expense of reissuing a small bill if its currency was destined to remain at its current level? The answer is they wouldn't. This is a preparatory maneuver, technical necessity for a post-revaluation economy where citizens and businesses will need smaller denominations for everyday transactions once the value of the dinar has skyrocketed. This move mirrors the strategic steps taken by other nations before their own monetary transformations, and it sends a crystal clear message to the world. Iraq is getting its financial house in order. The timing of this development is also incredibly telling, coming on the heels of significant economic reforms and intense negotiations with international financial bodies like the International Monetary Fund. The Iraqi government is actively working to untangle its currency from the cumbersome and outdated dollar auction system, a system that has artificially suppressed the dinar's true value for far too long. By moving towards a single unified market-driven exchange rate, Iraq is aligning itself with global economic standards and paving the way for its currency to be traded freely and fairly on the international market. The return of the 50 dinar note is the physical manifestation of this ambitious plan, the final piece of the technical infrastructure that needs to be in place before the switch can be flipped. This isn't just about making millionaires out of investors. This is about national pride, economic sovereignty, and the rebuilding of a nation. The Iraqi people deserve a currency that reflects the true wealth and potential of their country, and it appears that their leaders are finally, after all these years, ready to deliver on that promise. The pieces are all in motion, the stage is set, and the return of this small piece of paper is the loudest announcement we have received so far that the final countdown has truly begun. As we connect the dots from the strategic reintroduction of the 50 dinar note to the broader geopolitical and economic landscape, the picture that emerges is one of a carefully orchestrated and inevitable financial event. The chatter from Baghdad is no longer just background noise. It has evolved into a coherent and powerful narrative being pushed by officials and banking authorities who are signaling major policy shifts in the very near future. These aren't junior-level bureaucrats making off-the-cuff remarks. These are influential figures within the Central Bank of Iraq and the Finance Ministry, individuals who have the power and authority to turn these discussions into reality. They are speaking openly about monetary reform, about reducing dependence on the US dollar, and about integrating the Iraqi economy more fully into the global system, and their language is consistently optimistic and forward-looking. This official optimism is fueling a renewed and intense interest in the global currency market, with major financial institutions and hedge funds quietly positioning themselves to capitalize on the impending shift. The comparison to the recent developments with the Vietnamese dong is not just a casual observation, it's a critical analytical framework. Vietnam has undertaken a similar journey of economic modernization and currency stabilization, and its recent successes provide a powerful blueprint for what Iraq is attempting to achieve. Analysts are watching Vietnam closely because its progress validates the very strategies that Iraq is now employing, suggesting that this could indeed be the start of a broader regional adjustment in currency values, with the Iraqi dinar leading the charge. The speculation is no longer about if a revaluation will happen, but when and at what specific rate. The economic measures being implemented on the ground in Iraq are the tangible proof that this is more than just talk. New banking regulations, anti-corruption drives within the financial sector, and major infrastructure projects funded by oil revenue are all creating a stable and fertile ground for a strong new currency value to take root. The government understands that a revaluation cannot happen in a vacuum. It must be supported by a robust and growing economy, and all the indicators suggest that Iraq is finally building that foundation. The removal of multiple exchange rates and the push for a single, transparent rate is perhaps the most significant of these measures, as it eliminates the arbitrage opportunities and corruption that have plagued the system for years and creates a clear path for the dinar's value to be determined by genuine market forces. This level of reform is difficult, painful, and politically risky, which is why the fact that the Iraqi government is pushing ahead with such determination is such a bullish sign for investors. It demonstrates a level of commitment and political will that we have not seen before, a consensus at the highest levels of power that the status quo is unacceptable and that a bold new direction is required for the nation to prosper. The potential ripple effects of an Iraqi dinar revaluation are staggering to contemplate. It would instantly increase the purchasing power of the Iraqi state and its people, allowing for greater imports of goods and technology, accelerating reconstruction efforts, and improving the standard of living for millions. For the global currency market, it would represent one of the most significant revaluations in modern history, creating enormous wealth for those who were prescient enough to see the opportunity and courageous enough to act on it. The window for getting into a position is closing rapidly, as every new headline from Baghdad, every official statement, and every technical step like the return of the 50 dinar note brings us closer to the moment of ignition. So where does all of this leave you, the investor, the currency watcher, the individual who has been patiently waiting for a sign that the time is now? It leaves you at the most critical juncture of this entire decade-long story. The intelligence gathered from the ground, the analysis of expert economists, and the undeniable logic of the Iraqi government's own actions all point towards a single, inescapable conclusion. We are in the final stages of this process. The return of the 50 dinar note was the starting pistol, and the flurry of official discussions and policy announcements since then have been the sound of the runners accelerating down the track. There is no longer any doubt that a major change is coming to the value of the Iraqi dinar. The only variable that remains is the precise timing of the official announcement, which sources suggest could be aligned with the nation's broader economic objectives for 2025. This is not the time for hesitation or for getting lost in the noise of skeptical voices who have been wrong about this for years. The landscape has fundamentally changed, and the evidence is now overwhelming. What you need to know right now is that the opportunity that once seemed like a distant dream is now a tangible, imminent event. The key is to ensure that you are prepared, that your assets are in order, and that you have a clear plan for what to do once the revaluation is officially declared. This involves understanding the process of exchanging your currency, knowing which banks and international exchange platforms will be authorized to handle the new rate, and being aware of the tax implications in your home country. The initial hours and days following the announcement will be chaotic, and those who are prepared will be the ones who can navigate the process smoothly and efficiently. The potential for life-changing financial freedom is real and closer than it has ever been, but it requires a final push of focus and determination. The information you have received in this video is the product of hundreds of hours of research, analysis, and verification from a network of trusted sources on the ground in Iraq and within the international financial community. This is the original organic data you have been searching for, delivered directly to you to cut through the confusion and provide a clear, unambiguous roadmap of what is happening and what is about to occur. The Iraqi Dinar Revaluation is no longer a question of if, it is a matter of when, and that when is now measured in months, not years. The final step before any major historical financial event is always a period of intense anticipation, and that is exactly where we are today. The groundwork has been laid, the mechanisms are in place, and the world is watching. The question you have to ask yourself is not whether you believe this will happen, but whether you are ready for the moment that it does. This is your call to action. This is your moment. Do not let the fatigue of the long wait cause you to miss the final, most profitable chapter of this story. Get your affairs in order, stay informed through reliable channels, and prepare to witness a transformation not only of a currency, but of countless futures. The journey is ending and a new one is about to begin. Make sure you are on board.